This is not a story of quiet endings or whispered resolutions. No, this is a storm, a reckoning long overdue. It is the tale of shadows that dared to dim your light, of hands that pushed you into darkness, and hearts that chose betrayal over loyalty. But it is also the story of your rise, of the fire you found within burning brighter than they ever imagined. Picture this, a moment when the echoes of your pain reach them, not as a plea, but as a force. The tables have turned, and there they stand, eyes lowered, voices trembling, begging for what they once dismissed as unworthy, forgiveness. But you don't stay, you don't falter, you walk away, not out of spite, but out of power, reclaiming a life they can no longer touch. This isn't just a story, it's a declaration, a reminder that scars don't define you, choices do. And today, you choose to rise. Listen closely, because this moment is yours. Yes, yours. Not theirs, not the ones who doubted you, used you, or left you in the cold. This moment, this defining, earth-shaking moment, belongs to you and only you. And if you think for 1 second you're powerless, let me stop you right there. Look around. Look at the wreckage they left behind, the ruins you've been standing in. Do you see it? Good. Now do me a favor. Take a deep breath. That's the sound of survival. That's the proof that no matter what they took, they couldn't take you. Because here's the thing. Betrayal cuts deep. It carves out pieces of your soul, leaving wounds that bleed long after the weapon is gone. You trusted them. Trusted their words, their promises, their hands that once reached out to pull you closer. And then, like shadows fading at sunrise, they disappeared. But their absence wasn't quiet, was it? No, it was loud, deafening. It screamed in the silence they left behind, echoing in your chest like a hollow drum. You endured it. The heartbreak, the anger, the questions that looped in your mind. Why me? How could they? Wasn't I enough? You carried the weight of those questions, dragging them behind you like chains, hoping one day you'd find the answers. But the answers never came, did they? Instead, you were met with a harsher truth. They didn't care. Let that sink in for a moment. They didn't care. Not about your tears, not about your mind, not about anything, particularly not emotion. The harder you pushed, the harder they fell amid the torment it singed your heart. Not about your sleepless nights, not about the way you broke yourself trying to hold on to people who were never really there. They didn't care, and yet here you are, standing, breathing, existing. That's where their power ends. And yours begins now. Because you didn't just endure, you survived. Oh, they wanted you to stay down, didn't they? They thought their betrayal would be the end of you. But here's the truth they never understood. Every time they broke you, they were handing you the pieces to rebuild yourself. And you've been doing it, haven't you? Slowly, quietly, piece by jagged piece. You've been putting yourself back together. They don't see it yet, but they will. They will see the masterpiece you're creating from the rubble they left behind. But this isn't just about endurance. It's about empowerment. It's about looking in the mirror and seeing the truth. Not the lies they told you, not the labels they stuck to your back, but the truth of who you are. You are not weak. You are not a victim. You are the fire they tried to extinguish, the storm they thought they could outrun. And guess what? That fire, that storm, it's coming for them now, but not in the way they expect. Oh, they'll beg. You don't see it yet, but the day will come when they stand before you, desperation dripping from every word, regret etched into their faces. They will beg for your forgiveness, for a piece of the strength they tried to destroy. But here's the twist. They don't deserve it. And you won't stay to grant them absolution. You'll walk away, not because you're cruel, but because you've outgrown the smallness of their world, a ravening hole. So ask yourself, are you ready for this moment? Are you ready to take back what they tried to steal? Because it's waiting for you. The power, the freedom, the chance to rise so high they can no longer reach you. It's all within your grasp. And if you're doubting yourself, let me tell you this. The fact that you're here, listening, still fighting, still hoping, that's all the proof you need. You are stronger than they ever imagined. This is your story now, not theirs. Not the one they tried to write for you with their lies and betrayals. This is the story of your rise, your triumph, your freedom. And it starts here, in this moment, with this truth. They can beg all they want, but your power is yours to keep. So stand up, shake off the chains, look them in the eye, not with anger, not with hate, but with the unshakable truth that you don't need them anymore. And when the day comes, and it will, when they beg for your forgiveness, you'll know exactly what to do. You'll walk away, head held high, leaving them to wrestle with the emptiness they created. And you'll be free. Let's talk about the pain, not the surface level kind, the one that stings and fades. No, we're going deeper, to the ache that lives in your chest, the one that whispers to you in the silence. The one that keeps you awake long after the world has fallen asleep. You know the pain I'm talking about, the kind that feels endless, like a storm that refuses to pass. It started with trust, didn't it? Trust so pure, so genuine, you handed it over without hesitation. You believed in them, their words, their promises, the warmth in their eyes that told you, you're safe here. You let your guard down, opened your heart wide, and welcomed them into places you don't show just anyone. They saw you, your dreams, your fears, your scars, and you thought, finally, someone who understands. But they didn't. Oh, they played the part for a while. They held your hand when the road was smooth, stood beside you when the sun was shining, but the moment clouds gathered, the moment the path got steep, they were gone. Or worse, they stayed just long enough to twist the knife. They used your secrets as weapons, your dreams as kindling for their own fires, your fears as chains to keep you small, setting you on your course, setting you free, which made you free to begin to accept the destination for mission. But that destination never moved its hand. Never. Betrayal doesn't just hurt, it shatters. It rips you apart from the inside, leaves you questioning everything. Was it me? Was I too much? Not enough? Did I deserve this? And the questions don't stop there. They grow louder, sharper, turning into a chorus of doubt. How could I have been so blind? How do I trust again? How do I even begin to rebuild after this? Rejection comes next, like salt in the wound. No power as good as your own. You reach out, because that's who you are, someone who still hopes, still believes, still tries, and you're met with silence, or worse, with indifference. You see the doors slam shut, one after another, until it feels like the whole world has turned its back on you. Friends disappear, family grows distant, and you're left standing alone, clutching the pieces of a life that no longer feels like yours. And then there's the fear. Oh, the fear is relentless. It creeps into your mind, whispers lies that sound so convincing. You'll never heal from this. You'll never be enough. No one will ever truly see you or stay. It wraps itself around you like a cloak, heavy and suffocating, until you start to believe the lies it tells. But let's be clear about one thing. This pain, this heartbreak, this betrayal, it's not your fault. You didn't deserve it. You didn't ask for it. You didn't invite it into your life. And yet here it is, sitting in the middle of your chest like an uninvited guest that refuses to leave. It's important to name the villain here, to call it out for what it is. The villain is not you, no matter what your fears might say. The villain is betrayal, rejection, and the cruelty of those who saw your light and decided they'd rather snuff it out than let it shine. It's the world that told you to shrink yourself, to fit into molds you were never meant to occupy. It's the voices, both external and internal, that tried to convince you you're not enough. But hear me when I say this, the villain doesn't win, not in your story. Because while betrayal may have knocked you down, it hasn't taken you out. And rejection, no matter how brutal, hasn't broken you beyond repair. Even fear, with all its lies and shadows, hasn't managed to extinguish that spark inside you, the one that refuses to go out, no matter how much pain tries to smother it. You are not alone in this struggle. So many have felt the weight you carry, the ache of being unseen, unloved, discarded. And while the world may not validate your pain, I will. It's real, it's heavy, and it's not something you have to carry by yourself. But let me tell you this, the pain you feel right now, the heartbreak and rejection and fear, it's just a chapter. And chapters, no matter how dark, always lead to the next. And there's something waiting for you beyond this pain, something bigger and brighter than you can imagine. And though it's hard to see it now, you have the strength to get there. For now, though, it's okay to sit with the pain, to acknowledge it, to let it exist without shame, because pretending it isn't there won't make it go away. Feel it, name it, and then remember this, it's temporary. The villain may have its moment, but the hero, you, will rise. This isn't the end. This is the part of the story where the hero faces their greatest trial, where the darkness seems impenetrable. But we know how this story ends, don't we? The hero always finds their way, and so will you. There's a silence that follows pain, a silence so loud it drowns out everything else. It's the silence of abandonment, the echo of all the times you called out and heard nothing in return. It's the stillness of waiting, waiting for someone to notice your pain, to see the cracks in your armor, to reach out and say, I'm here. But no one comes, do they? That silence stretches on, an endless void, and you find yourself wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. This is where despair takes root, not in the moments of chaos, but in the emptiness that follows. You sit with it, try to fill it with distractions, scrolling, working, pretending, but it's always there, lurking in the background, a shadow that refuses to leave. You feel it most at night, don't you? When the world is quiet and there's nothing left to keep you from facing it. And what do you see in those moments? A You see the faces of those who left, the ones who walked away without looking back. You replay the words they said, or worse, the words they didn't say, the promises they broke, the way they made you feel like you were the problem. Too much, too little, not enough. You hear their voices in your head, louder than your own, and you start to believe them. That's the cruelest trick despair plays. It makes you believe the lies. It whispers that you're unworthy, that you'll never be enough, that this is all you'll ever know. It points to your past as proof. Look at all the times you were let down. Look at all the people who walked away. What makes you think the future will be any different? And the more you listen, the heavier it gets. You stop hoping. What's the point, right? Why reach out when you know they won't be there? Why dream when every dream has turned to ashes? Why fight when it feels like the battle is already lost? It's easier to stay down, to curl up in the darkness and let the world move on without you. At least then, you can't be hurt again. But here's the thing about despair. It doesn't just keep you down, it buries you. It suffocates the light inside you, convincing you that it's gone forever. It tells you to settle, to stay in the shadows, to give up on the idea of more. It steals your voice, your strength, your will to rise. And if you're not careful, it will take everything. Do you feel it now? The weight of it? The way it wraps around you, making every step feel like a mile, every breath feel like a battle? That's what happens when you wait too long for validation that will never come. When you cling to the hope that those who hurt you will suddenly change. You give away your power, piece by piece, until there's nothing left. But let me tell you something. This isn't the end. I know it feels like it is. I know it feels like the walls are closing in, like the light is gone and all that's left is this crushing, endless. But hear me. This is not the end. You see, despair wants you to believe that it's permanent. It wants you to forget that life is full of seasons, that even the harshest winters eventually give way to spring. It wants you to ignore the flicker of light that's still burning inside you, no matter how small. But that light, that's your power. That's the part of you they couldn't break, no matter how hard they tried. The truth is, this moment, this heaviness, this silence, this pain, it's not a sentence. It's a pause, a moment to catch your breath before you rise again. Because you will rise, not because someone else saves you, not because the world suddenly becomes kind, but because you decide to. And when you do, the world won't know what hit it. The ones who left, who doubted you, who tried to bury you, they'll look back and wonder how they ever underestimated you. They'll see the strength you found in the darkness, the resilience you forged in the fire. They'll realize that while they were busy leaving, you were busy building. But for now, it's okay to feel the weight of it all. It's okay to sit with the pain, to acknowledge the despair, to let it exist without shame, because this is just a chapter, and chapters, no matter how dark, always lead to the next. This is not where your story ends. This is the part where the hero rises their greatest trial. And while it may feel impossible now, remember this. Every hero rises, every storm passes, and every darkness eventually gives way to light. So hold on, not to the pain, not to the past, but to the flicker of hope that still burns within you. Because that flicker, that's the beginning of your transformation. And when the time comes, and it will, you'll rise from this stronger than you ever imagined. Let me tell you a secret. Even in the darkest night, there's a spark of light. It's small, barely noticeable, but it's there. And that spark, that's you. The part of you they couldn't break, no matter how hard they tried. It's the whisper of your worth, the quiet strength that has been waiting for this moment to rise. You've been through the fire, you've felt the burn, seen the scars it left behind. But let's pause for a moment and really look at those scars. Not with shame, not with regret, but with recognition. Because those scars, they're proof that you survived. They're maps of the battles you fought, the wounds that tried to claim you but couldn't. They are the lines of your story, etched into your skin, reminding you that you are still here. Think about that for a moment. You are still here. After everything they did, after everything life threw at you, after every moment you thought you couldn't go on, still standing. You might not feel strong right now, but strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. But surviving isn't where your story ends. No, survival is just the beginning. Because now it's time to take all that pain, all that heartbreak, and turn it into something powerful. It's time to rewrite your narrative, not as the one who was broken, but as the one who rose. Let's talk about resilience. Resilience isn't about being unshakable. It's about being unbreakable. It's about bending without snapping, about falling and getting back up. It's about looking at the pieces of yourself that were shattered and saying, I will make something beautiful out of this. And you can, because you're not just the product of what's happened to you. You're the creator of what comes next. Imagine this, a piece of pottery, broken into shards. To most, it would seem ruined, useless. But in the art of kintsugi, those broken pieces are mended with gold, each crack filled with care and intention. The result? Something stronger, more beautiful, and more valuable than it was before. That's you. Your cracks, your wounds, your scars. They're not flaws to hide. They're marks of your journey, places where you were made whole again. You are not defined by what they did to you. You are defined by what you do next. And what you do next is choose yourself. Choose to rise, to rebuild, to reclaim the power you once gave away. Because here's the truth, they don't hold that power anymore. You do. Yes, they hurt you. Yes, they left their mark. But they don't get to decide who you become. That's your choice, your privilege, your power. And let me tell you, there is nothing more terrifying to those who tried to break you than seeing you rise from the ashes they left behind. But empowerment doesn't happen all at once. It starts small, like that spark of light we talked about. Maybe it's a decision to speak up when you'd rather stay silent. Maybe it's saying no to someone who only takes. Maybe it's looking in the mirror and saying, I am enough, even when you don't fully believe it yet. Each small step builds momentum. Each choice to stand a little taller, to love yourself a little more, to let go of what no longer serves you, it all adds up. And before you know it, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're building a life that feels like yours again. A life where you're the one in control. Remember this, resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. It's about using your past as fuel, your pain as a catalyst for growth. Every tear you shed, every battle you fought, every moment you endured, it all has meaning. It all brought you here to this moment where you get to choose how your story continues, because you are stronger than you know, you are braver than you feel, and you are more capable than you've been led to believe. The people who hurt you didn't see your worth, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. It is. It always has been. And now it's time for you to see it too. So take a deep breath and let this truth sink in. You are not your pain. You are not the sum of your heartbreak, your rejection, your despair. You are so much more. You are the light in the darkness, the seed breaking through the soil, the phoenix rising from the fire. And they, the ones who tried to tear you down, they don't get to write the ending of your story. That's your job. And I know it feels daunting, but you're ready. You've been ready. Because every battle you've fought has been preparing you for this moment. This is your time. Time to stand tall, to take back your power, to let the world see the strength they tried to hide. And when you do, when you walk with your head held high and your scars on full display, you'll feel it. The shift, the freedom, the undeniable truth that you are unstoppable. So rise, my friend, rise and reclaim what's yours. The world is waiting for your light, and you're ready to shine. This is the moment, the one you didn't think would ever come, the one that's been waiting for you, quietly, patiently, through every tear, every heartbreak, every long night when you wondered if things would ever change. It's here now, standing before you, daring you to take the first step. Let's be honest, you've spent so long believing the lies, that you're not enough, that your story is already written, etched in stone by the hands of others, that your worth is tied to what they said, what they did, what they took from you. But here's the truth, it's not. Your story doesn't belong to them, it belongs to you. Take a moment to feel that. Not just in your head, but in your bones. You hold the pen, not them, not the ones who doubted you, betrayed you, or left you in the cold. They don't get to decide how this ends. Only you do, and right now you're standing at a crossroads. On one side is the familiar, the pain, the self-doubt, the patterns that kept you small. It's tempting, isn't it? To stay there, to let the weight of it all keep you rooted. After all, isn't that what they wanted? For you to believe you'd never rise? But look to the other side. Look at the path that's waiting for you. It's not easy, no, it's steep and winding, and you'll have to leave behind the safety of what you've known. But at the end of it, there's freedom, there's strength. There's a version of you so powerful, so unshakable, that even you won't recognize the person you used to be. The question is simple. Which path will you choose? Think about what's at stake here. If you stay where you are, if you let their words define you, you're giving them power they don't deserve. You're letting their betrayal win. And you are not someone who lets others win. Not like this. Now picture this, a phoenix, wings heavy with ash, buried beneath the weight of a fire it didn't ask for. For a while it lies still, convinced the flames have taken everything. But then, a spark, a tiny ember buried deep in the ashes. It flares to life, slowly at first, and then all at once. And the phoenix rises, not as it was before, but as something new, something stronger, something unstoppable. That phoenix, that's you. Or imagine this, a seed buried in the soil, forgotten, unseen. The weight of the earth presses down, and for a while it seems like nothing will come of it. But deep within, something stirs. Roots stretch out, finding strength in the darkness. A sprout breaks through, reaching for the light, and before long that seed becomes a tree, a mighty, unyielding force that stands tall no matter the storm. And that tree? That's you too. You've been through the fire, through the darkness, through the storms that tried to break you. But here you are, still standing, still reaching, still holding on to that spark, that ember, that possibility of what could be. And now it's time to rise. So ask yourself, are you going to let them define you, or are you going to rise and define yourself? Are you going to carry their betrayal like a weight on your back, or are you going to use it as fuel to soar higher than they ever imagined? And for anyone else listening to this, you must be higher. Are you going to stay down, or are you going to rise? You see, this isn't just about them. This is about you, about the life you deserve, the strength you already have, the freedom that's been waiting for you all along. This is your turning point, your moment of awakening, and all it takes is one choice. Choose yourself. Choose to rise. Choose to stop living as a victim of their actions and start living as the hero of your story, because that's who you are, a hero. Not the kind that wears a cape or fights battles with swords, but the kind that faces the hardest battles of all, the battles within. The kind that gets up after being knocked down, again and again. The kind that doesn't just survive, but thrives, transforming pain into power, scars into stories, wounds into wisdom. Let this be the moment you take back your power. Let this be the moment you say enough. I am done giving them control over my life. I am done carrying the weight of their betrayal. I am done letting their actions dictate my worth. You are more than what they did to you. You are more than the pain they caused. You are more than the lies they told you to keep you small. And now, it's time to show them and yourself just how much more you are. Stand tall, lift your head, feel the strength that's been there all along, waiting for this moment to be unleashed. This is your transformation, your rebirth, your rise. So rise, Phoenix, rise, tree, rise, hero, rise and take your place in the story that is yours to write. Because this is just the beginning. Now it's time to decide. This isn't just a fleeting thought, a nice idea to consider. No, this is a choice that will define the rest of your life. You've heard the words, you felt the fire, and now you stand at the edge of a transformation. Will you step forward into the unknown, or will you stay where it's familiar, safe, but stagnant? Let me tell you what lies ahead if you choose to walk away. Not in bitterness, but in strength and grace. When you let go of the people who broke you, you don't just free yourself from their hold. You free yourself to become someone they could never imagine. You release the weight they placed on you, and in its place, you take back your power. But walking away isn't about slamming doors or shouting goodbyes. It's about choosing yourself over and over, every single day. It's about realizing that forgiveness doesn't mean letting them back into your life. It means letting go of the anger that keeps you tethered to them. Forgiveness is freedom, not for them, but for you. Here's your roadmap, your guide to turning pain into power, rejection into resilience, and failure into fuel. Own your story. Stop running from it. Stop pretending the pain didn't happen. Look it in the eye and say, yes, this is part of me, but it's not all of me. Your story is your foundation, not your cage. It's the place you start from, not the place you end. Transform your pain. Pain doesn't have to be your enemy. It can be your teacher, your motivator, your fire. Every time they hurt you, they gave you fuel to rise higher. Use it. Turn it into art, into action, into a life so extraordinary they won't even recognize the person you've become. Set boundaries. This is where strength meets grace. Know what you will and won't accept, and don't apologize for it. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're doors that you control. Open them for those who add to your life and close them firmly on those who take away. Build your resilience. Resilience isn't just surviving, it's thriving. It's looking at every rejection, every failure, and saying, this is not my end. Learn from it, grow from it, use it to become stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than ever before. Choose yourself. Stop waiting for someone to save you. Stop waiting for apologies that may never come, for closure you don't need. You are your own hero. You are the one who will rebuild, who will rise, who will create a life so powerful, so beautiful, that the ones who broke you won't even recognize it. Get back that life the way that you once preserved it. And remember, you're no longer for the creative. Get your do-over ending. Everything happens for a reason. And as you walk this path, remember this: you don't need their validation, you don't need their approval. The only permission you need is your own. So let me ask you again, are you ready? Are you ready to leave behind the weight of their betrayal and step into the strength of your own power? Are you ready to stop defining yourself by what they did to you and start defining yourself by what you do next? Because this is it. This is your moment. And moments like this don't come often. Stand tall, Take a deep breath. Feel the strength that's been growing inside you all along. The world is waiting for the person you are becoming, the person they could never break. And when the day comes, and it will come, when they stand before you, their voices trembling, their eyes filled with regret, begging for your forgiveness, you will look at them, not with anger, but with peace. Because by then you will have outgrown them. You will have risen so far beyond their reach that their words can no longer touch you. You'll smile, not because you're bitter, but because you've won. Not over them, but over the version of yourself that once believed you couldn't. And then you'll walk away, not out of spite, but out of strength. Not because you hate them, but because you love yourself too much to stay. And as you walk, the world will see you for what you are, unstoppable, unshakable, and utterly free. So go now. The path is yours to take. The story is yours to write. And the power is already in your hands. This is your time to rise. This is your time to soar. This is your time to become everything they said you couldn't, and you will, because you already are.